Hey guys, so today I'm doing a review on the designer brand's new Luminous Hydrating Foundation. So I'm doing a bit of a review and a demo, so it's what I have on now. I do have highlight as well, so it's shine as well. But yeah, if you'd like to see my thoughts and how this foundation applies, please keep watching. First off, I'm just priming my face with my Essence All That Matte Primer. Oh, I thought it was empty then. Heart attack. This is my absolute favourite primer ever. I just applied moisturiser so my face is still a little tacky. Probably should have washed my brushes before filming, but okay. So I'm trying out the designer brand Luminous Hydrating Foundation. So this is a glowing coverage and it's meant to have SPF 15. So it's just meant to give you a hydrating and dewy buildable brightness. Even out the skin tone for a luminous radiant finish. It's meant to be weightless buildable coverage. And it has peptides, vitamins C and E and aloe vera. Personally I prefer blending this on a brush, I just think it looks better on the skin. By the way, I have the shade 801 Porcelain Ivory, which is their lighter shade, and I do still have like the slightest amount of fake tan on. So it's not really overly light, in my opinion. So I'm just taking a Real Techniques buffing brush. So even now it's almost looking a little too dark for me. And I think I put too much on. Yep, well I definitely put too much on. Actually I'm just going to take another brush to just kind of like pat and buff that in and lift up some excess. So it's definitely luminous, like it's so pretty, but it doesn't really set down. So you do want to set your face with this. But I say it's about a medium coverage. So it's just one layer and it's pretty much evened out most of my skin tone. And I think it looks pretty good. Obviously there's still like a few little spots you can see through. I have a couple up here. Like a little bit of redness. Nars Radiant Creamy. So this will just go under the eyes. Don't tell me I'm running out of this. Ah, phew. And I just set it with the MUA Skin Define Hydro Powder, just a translucent powder. It's got about, it's like a natural finish powder, it's not mattifying. And I just think this leaves the skin with a pretty look. I don't know what's on my brush. Some of my brushes smell really good at the moment and I don't know what's on them. They smell like deodorant or something, like body spray. By the way, I just like crushed up the last of this powder, so it's easy to get out, because when there's just like that one ring around the edge, it's kind of hard to get to. I just found this to be an easy solution. Make sure your contour areas are set well. Okay, so now I'm just going to go and do the rest of my face. So I picked this up the other week when I was away shopping, and I've heard really great things about it. But I will say it's not quite like everyone's hyped it up to be. So this gives about a medium coverage, and it is extremely glowy, like wet looking. So like I've watched people, like other YouTubers, and they said this was like full coverage, and you know, you see them that goes on flawlessly. It's not really like that. I have the shade 801 Porcelain, which is a little dark for me. I have like the slightest amount of fake tan left on right now, and it's still like a shade darker. So yeah, it's about a medium coverage. I do not like applying this with a sponge. I think it's oil based because it just seeped into my sponge really strange and like left this like greasy residue, and I couldn't wash it out. I had one other foundation do that. It was a friend's, I think it was a Youngblood one. But yeah, definitely prefer applying to the brush. It's just a really strange consistency. But it's like a medium coverage. It definitely feels light on the skin. It sits on top of the skin as well. It doesn't like sink in. And it's kind of hard to set because it's so dewy. Like it takes a bit of powder to set it down so it's not sticky. But once you do, it feels fine. I have it on. You can still see the luminosity through my powder, and I did use setting spray as well, which helps give a bit of that dewiness back. I like it. It's just not quite as amazing as it was being hyped up to be. But yeah, I'm glad they came out with lighter shades in their foundations, because in the past their lighter shade was like my fake tan shade. I have that trouble with a lot of drugstore brands. Their shades are just not light enough because I am absolutely pale as a ghost. Packaging is really cute, like real sleek. It's got a pump, which is good. I do find with these pumps though, they dry out in the nozzle, so unless you're using it daily, yeah, just make sure you pump it on the back of your hand just to get the dried out piece out. I love Designer brand as a like a whole. They have some amazing products. What they do is they dupe high-end. So I think this is meant to be the dupe for the Nars Sheer Glow. And they have a dupe for the Estee Lauder Double Wear, I think. I can't think of the other ones. And they have a blush which is meant to be dupe for the Nars blushes, things like that. So it's meant to be like their version of like trying to get the same product for a much more affordable price. I think this was $20, which is a decent price for a foundation. I can't wait for their Christmas collection to release because they have some amazing looking products. So yeah, it leaves a nice dewy finish. I do have highlight on. It's a lot glowier than that. And I quite like it. I don't exactly find it buildable because of how dewy it is, but it's definitely a very gorgeous looking foundation. You can see it on the skin, like it's not really too natural. Like you can tell you're wearing something, but it's not cakey. I think if you did too many layers it would be cakey. With a brush you can't lay out, with a sponge you can, but as I said, it sinks into the sponge really strangely and just goes a bit weird. And it also goes really dewy with the sponge. Yeah, overall I'm pretty happy with it. It's not what I was expecting, but it's still quite a nice foundation. And yeah, I did also swatch the primer, like the Luminous primer, which I'm guessing is meant to be a dupe for Strobe Cream. It wasn't really that amazing. Like I tried the Mecca Max highlight like illuminating primer and it's amazing. The Designer brand one's just like such a subtle glow, like you can barely see it. So personally that's not one I would pick up. I love their moisturizing primer though, that's really good. So I hope this video was helpful to someone that's interested in trying this. If it was, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Let me know down below if you've tried this foundation and what you thought, and if you prefer it with a brush or a sponge, because at the minute I'm preferring a brush, but I do go back and forth like between which application method I prefer with foundations. Okay, so I thought I would just do a quick update on the foundation. It's now 7 o'clock, so it's been about 7 hours. And as you can see, it still looks pretty much the same. One thing I forgot to mention is it does settle into my smile lines. And as you can see, this lasts really well. When it does settle into my smile lines, I simply take a small fluffy brush and kind of just like buff them out. I'm actually loving how nice this foundation looks on camera as well, which is really cool. And yeah, so settling the smile lines is something I get with almost every foundation I own. I just have like really prominent smile lines, and everything just seems to fall in there. I've tried like baking them, I've tried just putting concealer there, not foundation. I find the easiest way to eliminate that problem is to just put a very, very thin layer there, so there's less to bunch up in that area. Getting the coverage you want with the formula, because it's so dewy, can be a little difficult, as well as setting it. But aside from that, it's a really, really nice foundation. If you have super dry skin and work with dewy foundations all the time, you'll probably have no issues with this. If you have oily skin, I'm not sure how you'd like it. I get combination skin. Personally, I haven't got oily today. Like, I've got no oils whatsoever. I haven't really gotten oily with it, which is surprising. But, you know, some days I do get oily, some days I don't, so